Okay, so doing a quick video on the differences between the force feedback profiles in Automobilista 2. So I was asked in a recent video, what's the difference, or what do I feel the difference is between the default and the default plus. So for this one I've taken a Formula Trainer car, the advanced one, and I've gone to the Snetterton 100 track just to mess around and see what the feeling is like in these with the default profile. Now, the tyres are very cold, just coming out of the pits, so you might end up just slipping the car around for a minute and see what it's like. So with these slip angles, and even with the understeer there, I'm able to kind of feel just the right amount of slide to be able to control it. Yeah, put a wheel on the grass there, so came around, but generally speaking I can feel enough of the detail going through the actual steering rack to allow me to catch these slides. Like even on the straight, if I induce a little slide, it feels relatively okay. So again, what I'm doing is I'm feeling a lot more of the, well, what feels like a good bit of the actual front suspension and what it's doing. And I'm probably a bit used to that from ACC. So I feel comfortable slipping this car around the place. The feedback in the steering has given me enough information that I know how much kind of opposite lock to put into it to either maintain the slide or to get rid of the slide completely. I just kind of induce a bit of slipping. Like I'm able to actually, that's understeer there, I can feel the front just not gripping up. But yeah, it feels good. It's like I am getting like road information as well, like in parts. Like I have the effects turned down. I can feel the curb there rattling away. I can feel the rumble strips. I can feel a bit of grass. It's all good. And yeah, it's given seemingly like the correct balance, what I feel, of, you know, what the front of the car is doing, which is obviously what your steering wheel is trying to mimic. And I'm using obviously the visual aid on the screen, so what the car is doing, where the horizon is going, where the surroundings are going, to try to figure out kind of how much oversteer is going to be at the back, in conjunction with feeling how the steering wheel goes lighter to tell you the oversteer, because obviously an oversteering car, the steering rack will want to try to self-align itself, so it will go lighter. And yeah, it's given the right amount of information. And yeah, the understeer as well, the washout, you know, as you overdrive the front end. So everything as, you know, what I feel is quite good. One thing I like about the default versus default plus is when you lose control, the steering doesn't yank too hard. So see here, where, you know, normally what I would have experienced would be the steering wheel getting really aggressive back and forward, and yeah, you know, and this was on the default plus, so with the steering wheel kind of yanking back and forward, it was quite uncomfortable sometimes when you lost control. So let's go to the default plus then and see how different this might feel. So again, tires are cold, do the same 2 or 3 laps and just see what this feels like. So straight away the steering wheel is heavier, there's more stuff coming through, I can feel a lot more road. Okay. It feels a bit more slower in reaction, or it feels like when I'm correcting it I have to maybe put more effort into it, almost like there's a bit of slew in the steering wheel, a bit of friction maybe. Okay, heavy steering here. Okay, let's try and get a bit of slip going on. Steering feels more damped. I can't feel as easily what the front is doing. It's definitely more damped. It feels stronger as well. See understeer. I don't really feel understeer too much, like the steering doesn't appear to go too light. A bit of grass there. Yeah, it's definitely... Can I feel the slide? I can, but again, it's the slide and the understeer. Do you know what it feels like? It's like default turned up with a bit of damping in it. Understeer is not as easy to feel, I don't think. It's got a bit of sliding going on. I definitely don't feel as confident in a slide. It's like what the car is doing. It's doing it maybe a half second after what I'm used to with the default. So it feels as if the actual information coming back to me is slowed down a bit. And I'm not as confident in what the car is trying to do. Like, I mean, it's drivable for sure. Like, it's not a bad profile by any means. That understeer there, I don't really feel it too much. Let's try to do a fast lap, I suppose. Let's see what this is like. Yeah, that correction, I could visually see that needed correcting, but I didn't get it in the steering wheel until the thing actually snapped a little. Yeah, this just doesn't, yeah. I mean, it feels nice, do you know? But I just can't help but feel it's a bit... bit laggy, bit of latency almost in the feedback, or at least that's what it feels like. That's where everything force feedback can be very subjective as well. Now, what I'll do on this lap is I will lose control of the car at that hairpin just to kind of see how the wheel behaves, but from what I recall, using the default plus, when you lost control, here we go, wrong corner. Okay, I think the guys need to do something with those grass physics as well. They're just a little bit a little bit extreme, I think. Just a little bit, not too much, but they need to, I think, just make the grass a teeny bit more grippy. Just a teeny bit. But anyway, let's loop it here, and you'll see that when the front grips back up. Yeah. So the effort on the steering wheel there when the front grip back up was quite extreme, in my opinion. The dead zone when it's standing still, there's natural weight that you'd expect on a car like this, so the actual feeling is good. But if I swap this back now to the default, just right where we are, and just give it a second till the game feeds into force feedback, I can still feel the weight. It's a little less. It's a little less, but like I say, the feedback feels like on the default plus, at least, that it's just you know, increased and damped. Where on the regular default profile here, like, I'm able to feel like a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot more direct. Like, I feel comfortable doing that. Okay, I just overstepped it a little bit there, of course, but yeah, I mean, the default I think is really, really good. The default plus also feels good, but it feels different, and for me at least, it just seems to be a bit over damped naturally, and that's the only criticism I would have. And like I say, I am running the Fanatec software, like with a couple of movements. Like I think I've got interpolation set to 1. I don't think I have anything else turned on. Let me just double check actually. I've done a video with my Fanatec settings. Yeah, I have interpolation set to 1, a force feedback intensity set to 80, spring game damper effect strength to 100, but does nothing. The natural damper, the friction and inertia is all turned off. So pretty much what we're getting here is just the regular AMS2 feedback with the interpolation turned up to 1 and the force effect intensity turned down to 80 on the default profile. In-game gain is set to 60 and my Fanatec driver is set to 42. So yeah, for me that was the difference, or that is the difference between the default and the default plus for me. Other people are going to find no doubt different fields, different whatever. And force feedback is like subjective as well, so like what suits me won't suit somebody else. But as I say, for me, coming from ACC, where I'm used to feeling more of the front axle compared to the rear, or the seat of the pants effect that some simulators try to get in there, for me this was a lot more in tune with ACC that models the front axle exactly as the forces on the suspension are. I don't know if that's what Reza do. It feels very good. It feels quite close, and that's exactly how it felt, or very similar at least. But yeah, so for me, regular default. There's a lot of custom profiles out there in the community as well, which I haven't tried, and to be perfectly honest, I don't intend to, because I'm really happy with what I've got. It gives me good information. I'm able to drive it. I've got confidence in it, and I don't need to go looking at other profiles or feel other profiles, because what happens is that screws with your head over time. Just as I mentioned from my comments, this feels a little bit like ACC or that type of feel, and that's what I'm used to. So that's what naturally I'm going to take. I'm going to take gravity towards that, where other people are used to, I don't know, like iRacing or Factor or something like that, like particularly or Factor, where it's more seat of the pants type feel. Doesn't really, yeah. I won't go on. I won't go any further with comments there, right? But it's different, shall we say? So yeah, default plus Automobilista 2. That's my opinion, and yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching.